Be sure and tell them Large Marge sent ya.
In the 90s, we were just teeny tykes. We liked our movies and our bikes. We wanted to be DJs, but we were just teeny gals. So we went off to college and we remained best pals. 20 years later, we're still watching flicks and we're bringing you the feedback bit by bit. Sweetie and Sweetie are here to say it's the Large Marge Santa's podcast. Hey.
Hey guys, welcome to the Large Marge Santa's podcast, your favorite podcast where two sweet sisters talk about their favorite flicks from childhood. I'm Sweetie with a Y.
And I'm Sweetie with an IE.
And today was my pick. And I'll tell you, I feel a lot of pressure. Sweetie has talked about this before. We have a spreadsheet. I haven't filled it out as much as she has, whatever. But I was going through all the ones I have left on my list, and like, there's not a lot of good ones, so I have to go back to the drawing board.
Yeah,
But
we really get stumped with what's available to stream.
Yeah.
However, I think we should start utilizing other sources like the public
library.
and get DVDs. We have a DVD player.
We got all those scratched ones last time we tried that.
No, I know, but it's an option. I'm just saying, let's not say that just because it's streaming, not streaming, that we can't watch it, right?
Right, but
We'll make a separate column for that. How about that?
But I don't think the library is going to have like Mother Goose Rock and Rhyme. Like,
How we found that on YouTube or something.
that was just the first example that came to my head. I just mean like all the ones I want to watch are like
eBay?
Like, who has the face on the milk carton? It's probably like $200.
eBay?
Jennifer Books didn't she buy like Model Behavior for like $100 or something?
We'll do a GoFundMe for obscure movies.
Anyway, so it was
what
my
did it come down
pick,
to?
and it came down to Fern Gully, which is a classic that we will cover.
Yeah, we'll circle back to that one.
for
I'm not
sure.
that familiar with the off-brand cartoons.
I just have, I have like small memories, but I'm excited. But I wasn't really, I gave Sweetie a choice, and as per usual, she ixnayed the cartoon, and
I didn't specifically say no to Ferngully, but I picked one, and then you're like, sweet.
Sweetie picked Matilda. On my way.
On my way. Waltz sing Matilda, waltz sing Matilda. That song's not in the movie, but I was trying to think of a song with Matilda in it.
I was like, whoa, there's a Matilda song? Cool.
And she sang as she sat,
Okay.
and she listened to the billabongs. You'll come
clearly
waltzing
about her.
Matilda with me from 1996. Matilda.
Matilda roll.
Directed by...
Danny DeVito.
Yeah, it's a Danny DeVito flick. I didn't look at if he's directed any other ones. But directed, starred, and provided the voiceover.
Like,
wow.
Give
What's up with
someone
that?
else a job. What is this? Doesn't make any sense.
Cheapskate.
We'll talk more about that in a bit. But yeah, pretty interesting. Based on the book by Roald Dahl.
Classic Roald Dahl,
the
one of my
classic
faves.
dark children's author himself. I don't think I read this when I was little. I think I just saw the movie.
You've never read it?
Now I'm like, did I? I feel like I went through a phase where I read them all like in the bathroom
sure
for a
you did.
year.
So here's the funny thing. I just read this a couple months ago. One of my bathroom books, guys. You know what that is? It's
I
books
just said that I
I
read them
take
all in
into
the
the
bathroom
bathroom.
too. That's
and
weird.
read
And I bet
over a
you'd-
course of a couple months when I'm taking a
Yeah,
dump.
of course. No, thank you.
I
Reading
get-
it while you're cleaning? What is this?
I
Hello.
had at least 5 books in my Goodreads read
Yeah.
list, let me tell you, from the bathroom.
She poops a lot, everyone.
Yeah,
She's got
you
a lot
know,
of time.
It's good for you. So anyway, I got this book at a used book sale, and so reread it. And I remembered Matilda being like a little bit more of like a beefier Roald Dahl book, because there's like some slimmer ones, right?
Yeah.
So more like longer ones and ones that seemed like a little bit more advanced, let's say. And like, you remember like James and the Giant Peach? It was like this. It was like so thin.
Yeah.
This one was a little bit bigger. But when I read it when I was older, I'm like, oh my God, this book is like not long at all, first of all. I don't think it's even 100 pages. And, the words are big and half of it is like illustrations. And it was like much, much more simpler than I remembered because, as we say all the time, it's like going back to elementary school and being like, why are the chairs so small? Like you just like see things differently through the eye of a kid. Still excellent book, guys. Gave it, I think, 5 stars.
Whoa.
And I will say this movie is a very close adaptation of it. Like very nearly use the drawings that Roald Dahl always used that guy Quentin Blake to do all the illustrations for his books.
Good trivia.
Yeah, and they followed stuff almost like to a T. So that obviously Americanized it, but other than that, love it. And I love this book because she was such a reader.
Yeah.
So I always considered myself like
Kindred spirits.
a teeny Matilda, but I didn't have telekinesis.
You didn't have telekinesis? Come on. Yeah, quite a, cool superpowers. But the movie, so 96, I'm pretty positive Sweetie and I and our father saw this in the movie theater.
Sounds familiar.
And my distinct memory is being terrified, like in the scene where Miss Honey and Matilda are stuck in Trunchbull's house. I remember just having this like unease stirring in my heart. And then after the movie, our dad was like, how'd you like it? And I was like, I hated it. I hated the middle part. It was so stressful and I felt like sick. And he was like, that was action. It was great. And I was like, oh, okay. I guess that makes sense.
Yeah.
But it kind of, at that point, how old was I? 10? Like, it clicked with me, and then I'm like, oh, I don't think I like experiencing those feelings. Like, maybe I don't like action in movies.
Yeah.
It was just so stressful. And I just felt like it was gross or something.
It is gross, but as it should be with these Roald Dahl remakes of Roald Dahl books, right? Because that was the thing with Roald Dahl books. They're like, mostly good messages. There's some like really nice fantasy and like cute parts to it, but most of them are pretty like nasty, like gross. And there's always like kind of like this balance.
Yeah, I never thought of it that way.
He's dark. He's like it's a really well mixed children's fiction, I'd say, which why people I think love them so much. But wait, what was I going to say about that? Yeah, I would have been 13. I mean, I guess I would have seen it, but I wouldn't have been probably as scared as you. But I don't know who you are, but anyone who doesn't think Miss Trunchbull,
or you were like, oh, I think what you
ever
said was like, that was exciting.
Yeah.
Like you translated it as exciting, and I was like, it was scary. And that, like right there, I was like, wow, I think about things differently.
Yeah, well, I don't think kids really like that stress. The stressful.
Oh, I think they do. I think I'm just unique and like very anxious about everything.
Okay.
Like I think
there's some anxiety in this. So this stars Mara Wilson, who was the little darling of the early to mid 90s. So known best for probably
Mrs. Doubtfire,
little girl in that. She's adorable. And then if you remember, she was in the remake of Miracle on 34th Street.
Sure.
We saw that, I remember, in the theater, even though we have the other one is beloved in our family. We saw the remake, and it was like, okay, I remember.
I think it's pretty good.
Yeah, it was decent. And then she did so well in that, she got like, basically was getting like all these scripts sent to her as like a little child, which is pretty cool. And she loved this book, and they sent this to her, and she's like, I'm doing this movie, obviously.
What a dream.
Yeah. So she was sweet. I mean, her acting is still just like okay. I mean, we talked about child actors all the time. No one is like amazing.
I mean, it's terrible. I'll just say it. Like, it's not good at all. But you said that when they were filming this, her mother died, and I remember that was like a big part, I think, of her like memoir that she put out a couple of years ago. And now I'm thinking like, what if she was like super traumatized and she like couldn't get it together and act? Now I've just been thinking she was this terrible actress my whole life, and I feel terrible about it.
And this, I mean, I think what we've said before is that when you're cute, that can override probably like your lack of any maybe real acting talent, and then you get slightly less cute, and then you're like, okay, what is this? Because she just seems a little vacant in this, and like not a lot of emotion. She has a lot of emotion in her eyes, but like no.
That's what I mean. She just seemed very dead, and I was like, oh my god, what if she was upset? And then it just like makes me upset.
Still effective. I still think she was great in this, and as we said on Twitter, and Instagram, Sweetie looked just like her. I mean, you would have been 10.
I mean,
so you
like
were,
I
like,
didn't
too
see
old,
it, but we're the same age, so she must have been.
Oh, yeah.
So how I don't.
Well,
I think they
filmed-
just
okay,
made her.
Yeah, she just looks young.
yeah.
She's like short.
But yeah, I got so mad when people would tell me that, and
Yeah.
I think it was because I thought she was a bad actress, probably, and I was like, I don't look like her.
It's
Or
just
like
the haircut or something.
it was bullshit, whatever it was. And I was like, I don't act like
You
that.
like to read.
I don't have teeth like that. Whatever. I cheated and won the reading contest. I didn't even read those books.
Because you won the reading contest. Oh, man, that's a good memory right there. Okay, so Danny DeVito, as we said, put himself in this movie and his wife, Rhea Pearlman. They're pretty perfect, though. I wouldn't recast that in any way because they're awesome as the Wormwood parents. Just despicable. And, yeah, they're really great and funny. As Sweetie said, Danny DeVito also supplies the voiceover for this, which seems strange. I
Doesn't
don't know.
make any sense. Like, we know it's you, Danny.
Yeah.
Like, and we're supposed to like instantly go from scenes where he's this terrible, like her father, and he's a terrible person, and then all of a sudden Matilda was a great girl, and you're like, I don't believe this person.
Yeah.
Who is this?
Why that choice? It's almost like as random as like the Trunchbull like would narrate it, you know? Like why?
Get Morgan Freeman on the horn. Get Donald Sutherland. Like, we can do better than this. It's like Wayne's World 2. Like, we can do better than this.
Yeah, I would have liked to have seen it with another narrator.
Totally.
Paul Rubens,
Oh my God,
Pee Wee
love
Herman
him.
as straight character, as he plays one of like the
Yeah.
FBI agents or cops that stakes
Do
out
you
the
recognize
house.
the other cop?
Yeah, but from what?
I just figured it out. So, but I like looked on IMDb and I like saw the movie that I knew but then I didn't recognize the character's name. And I was like, I don't know who the fuck that is. And it just came into me right now. So, Silence of the Lambs. The character's name is Lamar. Hint, it's my favorite line in the whole movie.
Seed Pod?
Yep.
What?
The coroner, he's like in the coroner scene.
Oh
No,
my
sir, that's a bug
God.
cocoon. That guy.
That's a bug cocoon. Yeah.
I just
the
died.
Southern
Dying.
guys.
Yeah. Love
okay.
him. But he's like a character actor.
Yeah.
He's been in a ton of
Yeah,
stuff.
I recognize this. Face.
Yeah.
Yeah, but Paul Rubens usually really zany is like super straight man here, which is almost funnier.
I love it.
Yeah, really,
I
really
love it.
effective. And then Miss Honey, played by Embeth Daviditz, who I can only now associate with like the bitchy woman in Bridget Jones' Diary.
Oh.
So it's hard
gonna
for
say
me to look at her as like a sweetheart
Mad
character.
Men. She was Lane Price's
and
wife.
right, exactly. So she plays bitchy woman like really
Yeah.
well. So
That's why I can't believe it. Whenever you're like, "That's Miss Honey," I was like, "No,
Yeah.
it's not." Quite a difference.
But I always love that character, and I remember watching this and being like, "Oh my god,
She's so pure. She's so pure.
She's so pure. She's so sweet. Everyone like wants a teacher like that. I hope everyone has had at least one in their life.
I've had
you know?
several. I feel like I really lucked out. I got a
did
lot of
too.
Miss Honeys.
I did too, and it's so great when, and obviously, especially in this situation where Matilda's, no family, no friend. I mean, she has friends eventually, but like her family's so horrible. So. Just so lovely, and she's just such a lovely person. I love her little house.
I know. Her little
garden,
cottage.
Her little
Her little
teapot.
cottage. I think she should have stayed in the cottage.
I know. Honestly,
That would have been
Maybe.
fun.
yeah, I would keep it for a little,
Definitely.
maybe like a little Matilda playhouse. But
Sure.
Anyway, so yes,
That's it for notables.
Yeah, that's it for notables. A bunch of like rando kids who I'm sure appear in random.
I'm shocked.
90
I
movies.
thought Amanda Thripp had made it big because I was like, this girl has talent. The little blonde girl with the pigtails. I was like, she's
Looks
great.
Like the son from Step by Step.
Wait, or the kid.
Oh my
Remember that
gosh.
show, The Torkelsons?
Maybe that's what
like,
like Torkelson.
yeah,
that's
yeah.
what I'm thinking of. She looks like a Torkelson.
Maybe it is. I don't know. No, she hasn't done a lot of acting, but I thought she was cute. But yeah, cute kids, cute movie, gross but cute. Gets the job done.
Yeah, it's a great like kid adult combo one
Yeah.
because you do have like first of all it's pretty like scary with all the Trunchbull stuff, but it's really clever. They use the Roald Dahl source material really well, pulling some direct stuff from there, but then the kids stuff because like and we'll talk about it, but like bad stuff happens to the kids, but they always like write it. And then it becomes like this cheering, like rah-rah thing, being like, kids are awesome, yeah.
But if,
it's
but if
fun.
it didn't, if it turned bad, it would have been really bad.
Yeah, it
like
would
I
have been
always
horrible.
think about like Amanda Thripp getting impaled on the fence.
Yeah.
Like, wow, did Miss Trunchbull not think that might happen? Like,
know.
what was she gonna do? What was she gonna do?
don't
If she
know.
impaled a child. I would love to know.
They turn it all around. It's all like lighthearted
Jesus.
stuff.
All right.
So yeah. So
Let's get into it because we just keep
plot.
revealing
I know.
things.
What
Can't
we've been
help
doing
it.
in this
Can't
intro,
help
We
it.
need to stop.
Well, we like to gab. We're gabbers. Okay, kick it off.
It's time for the sweetie synopsis. Yeah.
Sweeties.
Oh, cookie.
I don't know why I love it. Do they also call Bruce Brucey?
Yes.
Oh my god. What is this?
You can do it,
Brucey? Who's Bruce? We're calling people Brucey
because
now?
I think that's what
Cookie,
the Trunchbull
Brucey.
maybe was calling him.
What- why
like,
has she
taunting
called
him, being like,
everybody
Brucey,
that?
you can't finish that cake, can you, Brucey?
Okay. That's funny. Matilda Wormwood is an exceptional child. She was born with the rare ability to use more parts of her brain than other people do, I would say. It's like that movie that Morgan Freeman, Lucy, most people use 40% of their brain. Lucy uses 110%. Like something crazy.
I never saw that.
Me neither, but that was in the preview. So she's super smart. She can like write words in peas, pea mush, when she's like, 6, 7 months old, it seems. She's like reading books. She's like 2, 3. She's just a genius.
Loves the classics.
Loves the classics. I don't know how. So like she starts first of all, to start, she's birthed into this family that is like pretty vile as far as families go. She has a father who's like a car salesman / crook. I love the word crook. We need to use it more, and we need to bring it back. It's great.
Effective.
It's perfect, succinct, to the point. He's a crook. The mom is obsessed with bingo. I don't know. Like, I mean, bingos doesn't get like any challenging. The more it's like, oh, advanced bingo. Like, how can you make it? You know, it's the same thing every time. You're just picking
Not a
numbers
lot going on
and you're
up
putting
here.
the chips on. But that's what she does every day. And then she has an older brother who her parents are fine with. But Matilda, they want nothing to do with her. She was a mistake baby, let's say. Or they say that, actually. So they treat her awful. And, like, they pretend she doesn't exist. They are just, gosh darn, awful.
Yeah,
like,
ignore, don't, like, remember how old she is.
Don't remember her name.
Yeah, lets her just fend for herself, which proves to be good for her because she becomes very independent and very, like, grown up.
I mean,
very
those pancakes looked great.
Yeah, those pancakes amazing.
Amazing pancakes. She's cute, but she starts picking up little, like, the piece of paper kind of left around the house. So what's around the house is, like, car catalogs and bingo digest or whatever. Like, I don't know what, wisdom we're going to get out of that.
Reading.
But that's how she starts learning to read. And then she decides she wants to read a book. She asks her dad. He says no because he's a terrible, like, Nazi person. And she decides to go to the library herself. And she, at first, wait, is this Matilda or am I thinking of a different movie? She reads all the books in the library. And then she's like, oh, I wish I could take these home. And the librarian's like, this is a library.
Yeah, I think that's this.
Okay. Was this a dream I had?
Yeah.
And
You
she
can
gets her a
take these
library
out.
card,
Yeah.
and then she has that little wagon, and she like takes out like 20 books.
Yeah.
Conservatively. I think there's a limit nowadays. I don't think you can take out 20 books at one time, but I remember getting a lot of books back in the day from the library because they were children's books. So we'd be like, oh, we'll get like these 10 books.
I feel like you can only get like 6 now.
Yeah, I know they definitely reduced it.
that
But Matilda's getting Moby Dick. She's getting some hard hitting Dickens is her favorite. She could
Introduce her to some other
read.
writers that are a little better than
I could read Dickens all day.
Yeah. You can? I can't. I have one
can't
as my
last a
bathroom
minute.
book, and I can't even read it a one page for one shit.
I'm done. Yeah, it's over. But anyway, so she becomes, a huge fan of books over here. She's reading all the books, slowly just kind of separating herself from her family, who are just kind of glued to the television, and like their big family activities is eating their TV dinners in front of the TV watching Sticky Money. What's it called?
Yeah.
Sticky
Funny about
Cash.
TV dinners, because we didn't rarely had those, because
Special treats.
yeah, our dad loved to cook, so they were like special treats for us. We'd be like, Dad, like, can we please get like, I don't know if you remember like these kid style ones they had.
Who doesn't
which is
remember kid
one little
cuisine?
like kids cuisine? It's like one desiccated like chocolate brownie, like 3 corn niblets.
So sad.
I don't remember what the entree was.
We didn't have big
Macaroni and
stomachs.
cheese.
We had small stomachs as children. I can't do anything about that. It was
They
perfect.
were terrible, and we were so excited. And I wonder if Dad was like so hurt by that he'd make like gourmet meals. And
Dad
be like,
loved a
"Can
hungry
we
man.
please have a
Dad
TV
loved
dinner?"
Hungry Man. He was fine. He was fine with it. It was just like such a new, like a novel thing.
Well,
like
I just like
oh.
each little compartment had its own
and
little
you
bit of
put it in
food.
the microwave, the plastic film,
Yeah.
and it's like
The mashed
melting
potatoes were
onto
good.
your phone, your food. Yeah, it's an interesting experience. But anyways, Matilda's not into that. She's like not even touching that. She's just reading her books. Her dad gets mad. He yells at her one night, and she is just like staring at him like angrily, like, oh, I'm so mad. And then she looks at the TV, and it explodes, and you're like, fuck, something's up. She got powers. So she keeps trying to convince her dad to let her go to school. She's supposedly 6 years old, which is definitely time for school. Her brother gets to go to school. I don't know why they don't want to get, like, she needs to stay at home to accept the illegal car parts that are being shipped to the house.
Well, it was unclear if they really didn't want her to go to school or they forgot how old she was, and so they didn't like make that jump to like enroll her. It
Yeah.
sounds like
True. Okay.
it just seemed like a miss.
It was it was just a miss on their end.
I mean, they certainly don't want her around, so you think you'd be counting down the
They
days.
do want her around
for the
to get the packages.
Oh, yeah. Sorry. She's got to sign for the illegal car parts that are being shipped from, like,
Can't
Honduras
leave those
guys.
sitting on the doorstep. There's 2 cops outside the house who have been watching her father, and yeah, they can't be getting packages sitting out on the door. So one day, this terrifying woman comes in and gets a car from Matilda's father, who, by the way, like we said, is a crook and fills his cars with sawdust. So keep that in mind. And he brokers some deal with this Miss Trunchbull.
Well, they're
who-
talking about children because
Right.
she's like, I work at a school, and he's like, oh,
I have
a daughter
a daughter
sucks,
who's
basically.
terrible.
Yeah,
And she's like, let me whip her into shape. Bring her to my school. So Miss Trunchbull runs a school called something. Did you write it down? It was
It's like Trunch Academy or something
yeah.
like that.
Oh, I said Crunch
No.
Academy. I was like, I don't get it. It's like a gym. The Crunch Academy.
What
Darn
is that
it.
gym called?
Crunch time.
Fitness? or-
Crunch Fitness.
Yeah.
Yep. Crunch time. And as you know, as far as I can tell, this school is, you guys, a dystopian hellscape. It is like
With 2 teachers.
Yeah, maybe 2 teachers.
A
Miss Trunchbull's the
scary
head mistress.
cafeteria lady.
Cookie is like old and nasty, and there's just like old fences like that are pointy and scary.
Right.
The Miss Trunchbull is a former decathlon athlete, or no? What?
No, she did
But what is that?
3 events. So she did shot put, hammer throw, and javelin.
Right.
Olympian. Former Olympian.
So this huge woman, very muscular, it's just like terrifying, scary teeth. She favors, punishment here. Whoa, violence, let's say.
Corporal?
Corporal
punishment?
punishment. Doesn't like pigtails. Spots a girl in the crowd. Picks her up by her pigtails and then does the what is that? Was that the hammer throw? No.
Yeah, yep.
The hammer throw. And like whips her around and throws her. And she almost, like I said, gets impaled on this fence. But Matilda, once again, uses her powers that she doesn't realize she has.
She doesn't know she has the powers then, though.
She blew up the TV. She doesn't know,
I
but
thought
she
she blew up the TV afterwards.
I don't know, but she knows something because she's like she smiles.
I thought that was just like a fluke.
I think
that
it's
girl
just
made
like
it over the
it's
fence.
her emotions are high, like is
'Cause
when
it's her
she can
first day of
trigger her
school
her
that this all
powers. Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
I didn't think that was connected.
Yeah, of course.
Mystery.
It wasn't happenstance. She would have gotten impelled. And then she was like floating and picking up the flowers. So I think it was like Matilda was happy, so she kept her floating.
Okay.
That's my theory. I'm sticking to it. So Matilda's like, what have I gotten myself into? What is this hell? What is my teacher like? Because I'm terrified. Turns out, though, her teacher, like we said, Miss Honey, sweetest woman in the world. Just pure as raw honey, which I had for the first time recently. Amazing, guys. Get your raw honey. Never goes bad, they say. Never goes bad. She's just a great teacher, as Sweetie said. She talked about how she's just very warm and caring. So Matilda's new in school, and she's very nice to her. And she's like, you don't have to answer the questions if you don't know the answers. And they're doing multiple times tables. What is that called? Times tables. Multiplication tables.
Times tables.
Times tables. Okay, that's what I thought. God, look at me like I'm crazy. And
2 times 8.
Yeah. Oh God. 2 times 8, 16. I always get confused if, like 6 and 6 is 12, or is it 18? It's 12. But like sometimes I get confused in my head.
7 times 7.
7 times 7, 49.
7 times 8.
7 times 8 is 56.
Oh, I was gonna say something else.
What would you say?
Never mind.
It's unfortunately for you, times tables were my best. Were my best of the tables of the mad minutes.
I won
Multiplication was
in
my
the
best.
contest.
I was really good at multiplication. Not great at the division one. Not as fast.
Did you have to learn tables, division tables?
Yeah. But then we did the mad minutes where you do like 100 in a minute or whatever.
No, I would like cry and hyperventilate.
Oh boy.
In 2nd grade,
Oh
we had
boy.
the Mad Minute, and Miss McCarthy was my teacher, and it like was so frustrating to me, and I couldn't get it. I started like crying, and she's like, "It's okay," and she gave me like a sip of water from her mug.
You told me that
little
story.
bunny that said,
I love that story.
"Chocolate is the 5th food group."
Oh.
I remember drinking out of it, but I was like, I remember ventilating about like multiplication tables. So
We don't have a good history with math.
I need to be taught math slow, and then I get
Yes.
it. I can't be taught
Yeah,
fast.
we can't.
Anyway.
We can't go the same speed as
So
everyone
yeah,
else.
great teacher. That Miss Honey.
Yep.
But
she quickly learns Matilda's a genius.
advanced,
A
very
genius.
advanced. Knows not only her multiplication tables, but how to multiply, big numbers that
numbers
you
in
would
her
need
head.
a pencil and paper for.
Still can't do that.
So crazy.
I feel like if I really tried, I wouldn't need a pencil and paper for that answer.
There's a trick to do it. You
But
split
Miss
up the
Honey's
number.
a teacher, so I feel like she should have not needed
she should
paper.
Well, she teaches kindergarten, so she doesn't have to be like that smart.
Okay. I feel like it's 1st grade, but okay. I just feel like kindergarten is like normally you're playing, you're not learning anything.
It's like daycare, basically.
Right. So that's not what this was.
Yeah, okay.
This was first grade. So, anyways, so Matilda quickly, figures out this school. Miss Trunchbull's evil. If you're really bad, she'll lock you in something called the chokey, which is not just a clever name. It is like a tiny little closet furnace that
It's
is
like a medieval torture chamber.
Yeah, a medieval torture chamber, which blows like weird smoke up from the bottom
Just
and like
make it look
has
creepy.
these giant like railroad spikes in the door that are pointed like toward you, and you're just supposed to like stand in there for hours. But it's not
solitary
like it's
confinement.
so small, so like you couldn't move anyways if you wanted to try to impale yourself on one of those spikes. Right. So I don't know, but that's the main punishment. Or she does like evil sadistic things. So like one day at a school assembly, Trunchbull calls Bruce Bogtrotter onto the stage, and he's this kind of plump kid. And apparently he ate some cake that was not his, and the cake, unfortunately, was Miss Trunchbull's. So as punishment, she makes him eat a huge piece of cake. It really looks like half a cake to me, but I mean, it's not split hair. It's not split hairs here. He eats the cake. It's delicious. She's like, "Oh, you liked that? Well, cookie." And then the cook comes out with a huge entire cake, and now poor Brucey, has to eat that whole fucking thing. So he's like, okay, I'm going to try this. So he gives it a shot, starts getting full like pretty quickly. Matilda is like, guys, he just needs encouragement and positivity here. So she jumps up and is like, you can do it, Brucey. And then everyone's like, Bruce. And he's like, yeah, I can do it. And then he eats all the cake.
I think you're out of the room during the scene because you're like, this makes me
Yeah,
feel sick.
it does make me feel sick. I hate this scene.
But so they're like, they encourage him, and he's like, yeah, I can do it. But they're still like, maybe an eighth of a piece of cake left and then all these crumbs, right? So then he goes back to the thing and then starts like licking it, and then like a half a second later the plate is completely gone, and then he's able to like lift it up over its head. And I was like, wait a minute. Like, continuity problems. Like, how did he do that?
Man.
But, it's just to show that
Busted.
he
Busted.
licked that plate clean.
Beat him. And Miss Trunchbull's like mad that people are like coming together and unifying to help Bruce out. And then
And so she breaks the plate over his head.
oh right,
And he lets out this huge burp, but he doesn't pass out or anything.
it doesn't.
I thought he
Nothing
did,
else
but
bad
nothing
happens.
Yeah.
I was shocked.
Yeah.
Sure, some Stand By Me projectile vomit was gonna occur, but it
feels
didn't.
like in almost all cases when the Trunchbull does something terrible to a kid, there's always like she doesn't get.
Matilda always
Yeah, there's
fixes
always
it.
Yeah, exactly. She doesn't get to do.
What did
like,
they do before
exactly-
Matilda came?
Exactly. Well, I don't know. I mean,
Did kids die?
we know kids didn't die, but yeah,
Well,
it's pretty bleak.
Pretty bleak
in
there. Like I said, dystopian hellscape.
Yeah.
So now we have a couple things that happen. Miss Honey and Matilda form a very close bond and relationship, and Miss Honey invites her to her house one day after school. Earlier, Miss Honey attempted to go to Matilda's house and be like, "Your daughter's very smart. She should go to college next year." And I'm like, "Okay, good. Like, wow, good for you. Good try." And she quickly realizes her parents want nothing to do with that, and so she, faces defeat, and then tries to go about helping Matilda in other ways. So that's why she invites her to her house. So Matilda learns that Miss Honey is actually the niece of Miss Trunchbull herself. Terrifying. So Miss Trunchbull was Miss Honey's mother's stepsister, which,
No blood relation.
like, thank God. And where did Miss Trunchbull come from? And who is this woman? I have so many questions, which we'll get to those. But she tells Matilda this very sad story of how like her mom died when she was really young. Her dad like committed suicide, quote unquote, when she was 5, and then she had to live with Miss Trunchbull, who like probably abused her and like beat her up because she was terrible. We know she broke her arm one time because she's like brags about it at one point. And eventually Miss Honey grows old enough and like leaves, but she has to leave all her treasures behind in the house, including her treasured Lizzie doll. Lizzie. I don't know. Like, just say Lizzie. Like, is it Lizzie? And you just had like a speech about Lizzie doll.
But she gets a little cottage from a rhubarb farmer.
Who's this rhubarb farmer? Are they single, and is it a man? Could be, or a woman. Doesn't matter.
Sounds
not
cozy.
picky.
And it is a cozy little stone house. I remember in the book it's a bit more rustic. Like she's basically like dirt poor. But this one, she actually does it up real cute, and she, has like a little tea set, and they have like tea and stuff like that. But Matilda's pretty brave, and she's like, "Let's go get some of your stuff back."
Yeah.
What are you afraid of? Like, let's go.
I'm afraid of a lot of things.
Yeah. So they wait until the Trunchbull is loading up her car with her shot put and javelin and going to work out, I guess, in her 1972 Olympian gray sweatsuit. And so she leaves in the shitbag like car, the
Like,
that
is
the
falling
Mr.
apart with the
Wormwood,
sawdust.
Yeah, sold her. So she's down the road. They go in the house, and it's this beautiful mansion, but she's kind of let it go a bit to disrepair, right? Like, she's
Shitty.
using the walls for like javelin practice. She hung of this like a scary picture of her in her like Olympian attire on like the top of the fireplace where the picture of the dad used to be, and like all the rooms are all.
There's just a
boarded up.
staircase of pots.
Yeah.
It's just terrible.
really
It's like a
sad.
nightmare I have where I get like
yeah.
trapped in a house like that.
So Miss Honey like shows her the little. She kept the jewelry, the mom's jewelry box with like these chocolates in it that she remembers from her childhood. Like, whoa. Hope she put.
Are you replacing
candies
the
in there.
chocolates? Yeah.
Gross.
That's always my question. Like, are those the same chocolates?
Oh.
But Miss Trunchbull like eats them, so
Yeah,
I assume she
does.
like
They
replaces
must
them
be,
and
like,
puts
some
new ones
special
in there.
kind. And then they go upstairs in the room, and then they find Lizzie doll and all these portraits of her dad, and it's lovely. But unfortunately, the car broke down that she was driving, Miss Trunchbull, so she comes back to the house in like a mood, calls Mr. Wormwood to kind of bitch him out about the car, and Miss Honey and Matilda are still in the house, so they're stuck in there. And this was the scene that Sweetie was talking about that was very anxiety-inducing, where she knows someone's in the house because she hears them, like they drop something. I forget.
She has like superhuman.
She smells.
She like smells them. Yeah. She like sees the chocolate box lid like kind of askew, and it's a lot of like cat and mouse. Like, okay, I'll distract her, make a noise over here, so you can run out here. Miss Trunchbull has, for unknown reasons, boarded up all of the doors in the house and the exits. I guess for this reason, in case an intruder comes in and wants to steal old dolls.
She's a very private person.
What are you trying to steal? An old doll? Okay. We got old
javelin
old
equipment.
doll, Roald Dahl.
Whoa.
Crazy. So, but don't worry, guys. It all works out. They escape. They don't get Lissy doll, but Miss Honey's like, promise me you won't go back in that house. Matilda's like, okay, wink. And then she decides, I'm gonna get a grasp on my powers, fine tunes them a bit. Goes to the house, stands outside the house, and she knows that Miss Trunchbull is very superstitious. So she kind of creates this chaos and makes it seem like there's some kind of spirit or ghost haunting situation. Freaks Miss Trunchbull out. She's like, I'm terrified. I'm getting out of here. Next day, she gets the doll, Lissy doll, 2 chocolates for the road, gets out of there. So she gives Miss Honey the doll and is like, look what I got you. And then Miss Honey's like, what the fuck? I told you not to go in that house. And then who should storm into school but Miss Trunchbull, looking pissed off because she found, guess what, you guys, a fucking red ribbon blowing around. Guess whose ribbon it is? Matilda. She always has to wear that fucking ribbon. Don't wear the ribbon when you're going to do, recon at the Trunchbull house, at this estate.
Did the Trunchbull think that somehow a child did all that crazy stuff?
Yeah, she thinks children are like the devil's spawn.
Made the paint, all the shot put balls.
Yeah,
and, the painting
I think she didn't think it through.
Yeah.
But she decides somebody did this, so she's gonna punish a lot of people to figure out who it is. So she puts Matilda in the chokey right away. Because her father sold her a bad car, a lemon. And then there is a salamander situation in the water. Miss Honey lets Matilda out of the chokey. Miss Trunchbull is drinking water, and then the salamander is in it, but she doesn't notice it. And then
that's a different scene, though.
No, it's right after Matilda comes out of the chokey, and then Miss Trunchbull is drinking the water. Yeah. No. And then she uses her powers. Because you remember I don't know.
That's a different one.
It doesn't matter. This
is the plain water one.
Oh, right. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. And then the chalkboard stuff.
Yes.
Okay. When was the salamander part?
Salamander was before that, because remember they're in the river as friends, and then that's something that Lavender has a little scheme.
Knows that she knocked over the water glass, but can't recreate it. Okay. So in this other water incident, Miss Trunchbull, Matilda uses her powers again to write on the wall, make the lights flick, and she writes on the wall Agatha, which is her Trunchbull's first name. So that freaks her out because she's like, who knows my first name? And then she pretends she's writing as Miss Honey's father and says, you have to give my daughter back the house.
Bumblebee.
My
little Bumblebee.
Honey. Miss Honey. Bumblebee tuna. Jen. Honey.
Jen. I love her name is Jen.
Jen. Well, her name's Jennifer, but Miss Trunchbull only calls her Jen, which I feel like is very informal for Trunchbull.
She's like, Jen.
Yeah. She looks like a like at the mall. Jen, let's go to the mall.
She's Australian or something.
She's something.
She's
who is this woman? I don't know. But so Miss Trunchbull's freaked out again. All the kids finally kind of rebel against her, throwing their lunch at her. Matilda clocks her with a bunch of chalkboard erasers and gets her all chalky. And she passes out from the shock.
Yeah. She's fucked up.
And then she's kind of chased out of the school, and then she has to leave town because the chalkboard said so. So she is gone, and then things are well. Miss Honey moves into the Trunchbull estate, really cleans it up like very well. It is now a very lovely house. And then one day Matilda's parents like come and they're like, we gotta go to Guam, like your father's been found out in this like his scheming ways. Matilda's like, no, I don't want to go. And she's like, Miss Honey, you can adopt me. Don't worry, I have the adoption papers right here. So she like whips these adoption papers out, and all her parents have to do is sign. And they're like, they think about it for like a split second. They're like, okay, and then they sign. No hugs goodbye or anything.
Nicest thing they ever did for her.
Nicest thing they ever did for her. And then they're gone. You know, who knew adoption was so easy?
Yeah,
like
wow.
you just whip some papers out, sign it. Okay,
Yeah,
later,
who cares?
bye. And they live happily ever after. Matilda and Miss Honey just being sweet little sweeties, and
What a fun life they
what
have.
a fun life. They're
I mean, I want to rollerblade inside, too.
inside on a rug. It seems totally safe.
Oh.
Or they move the rug up, but
Yeah.
it seems so fun. Rolling around, hula hooping. Oh my gosh, it's so fun.
Yeah, picnics. They both have
But what is
dolls.
this? Okay. So here's my first question. What is this town like? Because we don't know anything. The only places we've seen are like
Yeah.
the car dealership, just the inside.
Right.
We've seen no like exterior of this place. I
Where
have
does
no
the brother go to
concept of it?
school?
Exactly.
Yeah, that's weird.
There's like a public school. Who are all these desperate parents sending their poor child to this hellscape? Like,
yeah, and there doesn't seem to be
have
any
they
other
have they
teachers.
taken a tour? Like,
Yeah, and why would you? Is this like one of the public schools? You don't have to like pay for it, do you?
Where is the money going?
I feel like you do because that it's like Trunchbull school, so that's why she has money because she like owns the school. That's what I'm thinking.
But then what? Why would the parents be like, "What is our money going towards?" Like, it seems very
Right, and it wouldn't get
very
around.
shady.
Or like, what happened to
I
like
just don't get
the
it.
kids that like almost died? Like,
Right.
what are those?
What
parents?
happened to the kids that did probably die? Like,
Yeah.
why isn't it people are looking
Yeah,
into this?
it's, you know,
and like
it's-
one of the things Matilda's like, why don't people tell their parents that there's like this thing called the chokey? And her friend's like, would you believe your kid? And I was like, you know what? I would. If I saw this Trunchbull lady walking around and be like, that's my kid's principal.
Well, it almost feels like that's the kind of town or like reality this is because the big
Yeah.
theme of the movie is like adults being like, you're small and I'm big, like you're dumb and I'm smart, and it's just this like kind of adults versus kids world.
But everybody else feels
except
so
for Miss
normal.
Honey, who's like in
right.
the middle.
Miss Honey's like the only normal
Yeah.
adult.
Right, exactly.
Maybe the librarian.
Yeah. So that's kind of how they're framing it. So I think parents like are just not involved in like literally anything.
It's sad.
It is.
It's a sad concept to just like have your main kid character immediately be this person with no love. It's very I mean it's very similar to Harry Potter actually. And
well, in most Roald Dahl books.
so like why is that? He's got parent issues or like doesn't like adults? Like what's his beef with adults?
Well, just yeah. What is his beef with adults? I don't know. I don't know what his like his own parenting like situation was, but and that's not all books. I'm thinking of like James and the Giant Peach.
Well, the parents die. There's a lot of like
It's always like
dead parents, and then you have to live with the the terrible
somebody
people.
else or there's a lot of dead parents or one
You
dead
know,
parent.
he's not kind to spinsters, to unwed women. I feel like, except for Miss Honey. I'm just thinking
What
of
are the other ones?
the aunties from James and the Giant
they
Peach.
were
that are just
terrible.
like, well, why are they all terrible? Because they're not married. Like I don't know.
No, they were just terrible people.
Yeah, but so that was always my question. But I guess that makes sense. That it's like this is just like this kind of
the
alternate kind of reality in this place.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, and we see that restaurant, the Ritz. So yeah, it's an interesting, cheap kind of looking town.
Yeah, definitely.
I don't know. Okay, so I don't know. What do you want to talk about?
So this movie always made me wary of buying used cars. Even like to this day, I always think of this movie and like we bought a used car actually a couple months ago, working great. I'm gonna say not a lemon, but whenever I walk into used car dealerships, I always think of that scene where he's showing the little boy how you like turn back the mileage with like a drill that you reverse back and you like connect the mileage thing to it so it like runs back. I always found that so ingenious.
I wish Ferris Bueller knew that, and then we could have fixed Cameron's father's car.
They kind of do. They try to do something like that, remember? And that's why the car like reverses off and like crashes
But
into the glass.
I think it needs to be like faster, I guess, to do
Right.
it, because it needs to be like up to speeds of that would
Right, of the car.
create of a.
But yeah, I was always like so funny to me. What was I going to say? The Bruce Bogtrotter scene, I'm pretty sure turned me off chocolate cake for a good couple years there.
Definitely.
It's like, it's such like a slimy chocolate cake too. It's like, you can like almost taste the richness of it through the screen. Like they did such a good job with that prop because it just is like really unappetizing, and then you see how much the guy has to eat. It's covering his face. They do all like, this movie does a ton of close-up shots, which makes it even more uncomfortable. And so the ones in that are like the close-ups of Bruce eating this cake, and it's like all over him. He's like chewing it,
And he's just like licking his like nasty chocolatey mouth. There's a lot of like licking lips in this movie, and it's
teeth, like gross
nasty teeth. Oh, yeah.
But really, I think pictured the Roald Dahl like book really, really well. Brought it to life really, really well. I wanted to talk a little bit about other Roald Dahl books made into movies and how we rate those, because this one's like in the middle for me. I like Jimmy gave it rating A-, pretty good. I agree with that 100%. It's really entertaining. It's cozy. Brought me back nostalgia way, but I think you could show this to a little kid now and they'd be super stoked.
Yeah. It's just a weird fucking town. I don't know when it takes place.
Oh yeah, totally. But for us, you all know, if you've been listening to this podcast, The Witches is probably our favorite one, I'd say.
Of course.
Followed closely by Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory, the 70s Gene Wilder
which is like very not like the book at all. So I don't even know. I'm not sure if that counts.
Yeah. But still, we love it.
Yeah.
We love it. And then if kind of close to this time, James and the Giant Peach came out, which was this interesting kind of real life / animation claymation sort of hybrid, right? If you remember that one.
I love that movie.
Yeah, pretty good. I love that book. Like I said, I remember it was like very, very thin. It had a pink cover. I owned it. And I read it a couple times because it was like a pretty quick read, but good book. Love that one.
Yeah.
You could just like visualize like them in the peach.
Yeah.
I don't know. I just like
peach time. A lot of the imagery is very good in that too. Like the scary like rhino in the sky, which I'm like, why? I still don't understand that. That killed his parents? Does it symbolize
they were at the
something?
zoo, remember? And they got it was like a crazy rhino attack, and the escaped rhino or something.
I thought like
them,
the cloud rhino kills them. I was
rhino.
like, I've been confused all my life. I've been like, is it a
impaled them.
storm?
No.
Impaling. Okay, he's obsessed with that.
So Matilda, like I would say, like right up there too with James and Giant Peach. Enjoy this. And then BFG, there was a cartoon of that I feel like we watched when we were little, but then there's a more recent one that like Steven Spielberg did, which I did not see. And then, as you all know, I'm sure the Witches got a little remake last year. That didn't go over so well. People didn't love it. But I think those are kind of the main ones. I couldn't find any others that they had done.
No, I don't think so.
About.
I don't think so.
There's not like too many missing. Like you mentioned, The Twits was a book that you remember. Again, kind of a shorty one. As far as I know, they haven't made a movie of that. I just read Danny the Champion of the World. I don't know if you remember this one. I didn't remember anything about it until I read it. And then I was like, okay, I can't believe I read this book because I don't remember anything about it. It's basically about this dad who like works at like a garage, and they live in this like little like a gypsy kind of trailer. And the dad's like big secret is that he goes and poaches pheasants from these like rich guy's farm. And a secret way to do it is he like puts sleeping pills in raisins and then sprinkles them all around, and then the pheasants like eat the raisins, fly up into the trees, and then pass out. And then he just like collects them all in bags. It's like the plot of the book.
So wild.
It was really, really wild. I remember like loving it, and it was like so special when I was a little kid. And I read it a couple of months ago, and I was like, what? Like, why was I so attached to this book? It's so strange. He has some good short stories. He has some really good adult short stories. Trying to think of any other ones. Oh, Fantastic Mr. Fox. Oh, that's one I missed.
Oh, right.
Yeah, that also made into a Wes.
Okay,
Wes
so
Anderson.
that book is. Show you this. I have that book was overdue at the East End Public Library for maybe 15 years.
What?
Like I remember,
George
like
Costanza.
like I think we had to pay like $20 or
Oh my
something
God,
because like I
we're gonna have to
couldn't
pay
fucking
more.
find it. I don't know what happened to it.
I
Like
thought they just eventually give up on library books. They don't,
Yeah, but I
after a
think you
while,
have to-
they're just like you have to pay.
but
for it.
every time that's what I'm saying.
Remember
I
when
think we just had to pay
$60 fine on my,
$20. Yes,
$60 fine on my
Of course I
library
remember that.
card because I
Never
took me
gave
forever
up.
to read this Ulysses S. Grant biography.
Yeah.
and they just thought I lost it. I was like, okay, library, I haven't lost it. It's just taken me a while to read this. $60.
Love
That's
it.
like double what it costs. Anyway, so yeah, any other thoughts about Roald Dahl and his books?
I'm just doing some quick research. I had mentioned Sweetie before we started. I was like, hey, heard a rumor. Roald Dahl was an anti-Semite. Is that right? Anti-Semite?
Yeah.
Am I saying that wrong? Anti-Semitism. Yeah. So most of that stems from like his later kind of feelings, like in the 80s, like Israel v. Palestine.
Yeah, it seems like he was
not
very
so much like
anti-Israeli.
So he tried to make that clear.
But it came in the news recently because his family apologized
Yes.
for it at the end of last year. So they did this like
Right,
public
right.
apology. I don't know, like stemming from what? I don't know if there was some expose and someone like found all his stuff because they have some quotes that he had given to newspapers and stuff like
Yeah.
through some time. So yeah, it's it's not great, but I don't know. For me personally, I don't make those decisions that something is bad about somebody and then you immediately can't touch any of their stuff
Well,
anymore.
no.
I just don't think that's how art works.
Well, I mean, I
It's-
think-
it's not how I deal with it.
I mean, like to a point. I mean, I can't listen to Michael Jackson anymore, but it's my own personal like comfort
right.
level.
I think everyone has to deal with that in their own personal way.
Yeah. He was also claimed that he was racist as well. Because
sure he
in
was.
Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, the depiction of Oompa Loompas as imported African slaves. Interesting. Okay. And then thirdly, a misogynist. A critic once wrote, The Witch's verges on a general misogyny. Throughout his work, women are depicted as evil, domineering, smelly, fat, ugly women, and always villains. Interesting. I would agree with that. Like we
Yeah.
said, Miss Honey's like one of the rare female characters in Roald Dahl books who's not the scary like person. So I don't know. Maybe he had things going on. He had some experiences. I don't know. Maybe
Yeah.
a witch got him. I don't know.
Yeah. I mean, his life probably led him to that path. It's unfortunate, but I don't know. I've always loved his books and his stories, and you can't argue that the guy didn't have like an insane imagination, and this stuff is just like really fun to read. I wrote down a little bit of some of the Trunchbull. Okay, so first of all, the Trunchbull is, while she is very scary in this movie, is probably the best character. She's played, I don't know who that actress is, but with brilliance by this actress, just down to how she looks, how she acts, how she walks. I mean, the woman like nailed it. Should have gotten a friggin' Oscar nom, in my opinion. She's so good. The way they shoot her is really scary. It's always like really close to her face, and she's just like gross furry teeth. Like, it's just really, again, unappetizing. But she has all these great words to describe children throughout the movie, and I started writing them down. It was kind of an exhausted list, so I couldn't get all of them, but here's a couple of her greatest hits. Twit. That's usually fun.
She used that like twice.
Little viper. Brat. Easy one.
Classic.
Swimming worm of vomit.
I remember that one. That's pretty good.
Villainous sack of goat slime. Pissworm.
Oof. Savage, Savage.
Yeah, gotta. She really gets creative with
She really
those.
hates those kids.
Yeah.
And like, yeah, what happened to her? Like, she was a kid one time.
Right.
And what happened? I wonder. And why go into teaching? You don't
She
like kids?
hates
Don't go into teaching.
children.
It's like Miss Hannigan. Like, I hate children. Okay.
Well, I think
let's
she
run
liked-
an orphanage.
But she liked punishing them, it seemed like.
She was
She got off on
sadist.
it.
She was a sadist.
Yeah.
And yeah, it was. She scared me. All right. Anything else?
What do you think about telekinesis? Does it exist?
Telekinesis. Does it exist? I don't know. Can you bend spoons. I need to read up more on my bending spoons mythos.
Does telekinesis usually come paired with like extreme brilliance?
No.
You know how smart she was, but then she also was like...
I thought you were going to say, does it usually compared with a brain tumor? Like in that movie?
Oh, God.
Phenomena?
Oh, no.
Something like a phenomenon. Something
Wait, did he have
like a
telekinesis or,
phenomenon.
like,
Yeah,
see
wasn't
the
it? Remember
future
he
or
could like spin his sunglasses on the table without touching
That movie
them.
was so bad. We saw that in the movie theater.
We saw so
And when
many
you
movies.
find out he had a brain tumor, you're like,
What?
and then he dies. Sorry,
Oh,
spoiler.
yeah, it was
but-
stupid.
Oh my God, it was terrible.
You know, I love telekinesis. I'm not. Who's to say it doesn't exist? It's all about, displacing, I don't know, particles with your brain or something and making things move.
It doesn't seem
there was
that
that whole
useful to
thing
me.
with like that Yuri, whatever, making spoons bend
Yeah.
was like the
I
thing.
Remember Liz tried to convince us she was doing that.
Yeah, but our spoons were just like super like thin, so you could bend them. I remember being like, "Whoa!" I totally fell for it. And then Carrie, the most famous, I think, person who has telekinesis, and she is a good person, but unfortunately gets baited into using her powers for bad, and she ends up going to hell, and it's like pretty sad.
Well, she's like emotionally, talk about like abused.
She deserved better.
Fed that fire. But I don't find that like telekinesis is that useful, and especially Matilda's, where I'm like, okay, you could have picked up that backpack yourself. Like she's using it to move things such like short distances.
She was practicing so that she could do the big show at the mansion.
Right, I know, but it's good for like tricks. It's good for a party trick.
It's good for floating your friends over
Right.
large fences with giant spikes.
And it sounds like she doesn't end up using it that much. Like after a while, would you rather have telekinesis or telepathy?
Oh, telepathy. Telepathy. 100,000%.
Is that reading minds?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'd love
I
to
don't
know what
if I'd
everybody's
want-
thinking.
Oh, no way. Scary.
I need to know everything. I need to know all the info.
What if you're like, but you're reading people's minds and you're like finding out horrible things?
Then I won't read that person's mind anymore. I'll like try not
late.
to. I don't care. I think it's worth the risk. I need to know things. I need to be like, did you kill this person? And then I would know.
The kind of a newer Stephen King book called The Institute is about these kids that they find with these like, they're very, very smart. So this kind of actually goes into the Matilda thing, and they either are telekinetic or telepathic, and then they like are using them. They kill their parents and then take them away to this like institute in Maine, and then they use them to like fight wars and stuff. It was like totally crazy. It's really good. Not one of his best ones, I'd say, but it was like pretty engrossing. But they talk a lot about telekinetics and telepathy, which Carrie, like you said, I think Stephen King must have like an affinity for.
Oh, yeah.
But it's an interesting thing. I know it's like a studied thing, like brainwaves and energy and stuff like
Fringe
that.
science.
Yeah. Totally creepy. I'd love to see it in action for good, which this movie does.
I'll make it happen. I'll put it on my list. My resolution. My resolutions.
Here.
Learn how to move
Become
things.
telekinetic.
I can do it. I know it. Yeah. Cool powers. Cool powers. All right. Anything else?
Just a couple. I love this kind of the stuff remembering from elementary school that they had, especially, well, mostly only Miss Honey's room, which was, it was a very like we said, bleak, scary school. Must have been like an old prison or like a sane asylum. And it's like dirty and gross, but Miss Honey makes her room all like nice and does posters and, cute stuff that you would have in your room in like kindergarten, first and second grade. But I pointed out to you, remember the chunky pencils when you're first learning to write, and you don't have a regular pencil. You have this like chunky one. I don't think it had an eraser, did it? You had a separate eraser, maybe?
I feel like I had an eraser, but I remember you had like the holder thing. You'd put like the pencil holder
Why
to
is
help you
that? Grip
you
it?
print. It was supposed to help you so that you held the
Remember the
pencil
paper
right.
with the lines on it?
Learning to write. And I was like, even with that holder, I think it made my writing worse, that little thing. But yeah, I remember those for sure.
And all the fun workbooks you would have. I hope kids still have those and it's all not like e-learning. Because like you got to learn to write. You can't do that like online. But yeah, kindergarten, first grade, so fun. Second grade, elementary school doesn't get bad kind of till you're like really learning stuff, which is not kind of towards the end. I think it's hard.
Definitely.
But
not
those
as
early
fun.
grades,
Not as fun.
like so fun. And I miss it. I can't wait to have an elementary school kid. It's so fun.
Oh my God, yes.
You can also impress your elementary school kid by like knowing things.
Totally.
And once they get to high school, you're like, I don't know.
I gave up at this part.
I'm sorry, I don't remember calculus. Slash, I never took it.
Oh.
But yeah, sweet, sweet movie. We had to rent it. Unfortunately, not available to stream, but totally worth it for, I would feel like, a cozy night in getting nostalgic.
Yeah. Do you remember Matilda? Do you like Matilda? Do you want to talk about it? Come find us on Twitter at the Sweetie Club or on Instagram at Large Marge Sent Us.
Oh, wait. Don't forget, we've created a Spotify playlist. I keep toting this on Instagram. Instagram. And I want people to favorite or follow it. We're adding songs from every movie that we do.
Did you add that one yet? I'll add it right now.
I did. Oh, so from this movie, we're adding Rusted Root, the song that we keep singing. Oh, boy. Oh. Send me on my way.
I would like to hold my little love. I was singing a different part, but it's okay. I remember like randomly turning on the TV one night and like they were performing on like PBS and I was like, who is this band? And I didn't recognize any of their songs. And then finally they fire up on the way. And the guy's there saying it. And I'm like, this is surreal. Like this is the song. So a good memory. But yeah.
Yeah, that's a good one. And then I also added Little Bitty Pretty One, which is the one I added is Frankie Lyman in the teenager version. Also in that movie, Karina, which I love with Whoopi Goldberg and Ray Liotta. And Tia Mowry.
Oh my God. Tia and Tamara?
No, wait. Who did I say? Tia Major. Who's the girl in Andre the Seal?
Tina Margarino, whatever.
Anyway.
Tia Mowry. I'm like, why not
Tia Mowry is in it? My sister's sister. That's funny. So Little Bitty Pretty One, come on and talk to me. So she dances in the living room when she gets her powers, and it's like a cute scene. So added those two. Check it out. We have like 8 hours plus of songs on there, so we'll definitely keep you busy for a leg of a road trip or a couple drives around town. So check it out, guys. It's on Spotify. Definitely get it if you are able.
Yep.
Anywho.
Okay, that's it. All right. Bye.
Bye. Trunchbull rape artist.